settle our rope. You want to take a passenger thing? Want to go for a ride, Joe? Okay, so the sequence of events here is that you want to get light. You're very, very close to light right now. And then you want to release your rope, but not release the tie out.
Right.
And then you have weight on right now. Then, as you get ready, when that's kind of ready to go, you will weight off, but hands on. That way everybody's ready and paying attention. And then we'll add heat, and then we'll let that slide off as we lift off the ground.
Okay.
We do expect some false lift today.
Okay.
So as we go out, we'll keep burning. Not constantly, probably, but I think go right here, guys. Thank you, sir. Nice job.
All right. So while we're in flight, don't grab the ropes. You can grab the handles, the sides of the tanks. Don't grab the black lines. There are ropes. All right. When we come in for landing, you want to either have your arm around like that, have a hand on the ropes. If you see anything, power lines, fences, things like that, let me know. More eyes the better on that. Other than that, I think
we're good.
Yep. Real fast here. Yep. All right. Look for landing. Oh, okay.
And now that Corey's gone, he'll stop beating us up.
All right.
Boys lean together real quick. So, Scott,
Okay.
we do Dave's face.
All right. Okay. Keys are in the truck.
Radio's in the truck.
Radio's on the truck. Got turned on.
No, it's on the console.
Get started real fast. Send these out.
So 105 or 90?
100.
Oh, we have the on all over the place. You're over here just chilling.
It's because we were just beating on each other. Now that he's gone, we'll just stand here. Now we lift
I was
here.
like,
Okay.
I was watching you by yourself. I'm like, oh, I'm going to
Okay, here we go, guys. All right, so just hands on there, guys. Here we go.
Dangerous, let go. Now you want to keep pumping it, make sure that you don't get Very nice. Very nice. Thank you guys. We'll see you soon. Nice and smooth, no swinging. Beautiful. Okay, right about here is where you're going to pick up. You feel that drop?
Yep.
And so now you can feel all of a sudden it feels like we're accelerating.
Right.
Nice job. Sir. That is the magic of that tile.
Right.
A little bit breezy, a little bit of false lift, but you just grease out of it. It's so nice. However, today with an extra person, we're
Get a little heavier.
Yeah. 100 pounds.
Good morning. So what that's going to mean is still the sort of the 2 to 3 second burns, but you'll just be doing it a lot more often. And now we know that if we pop up, we'll sort of go east and then back north.
All right.
Frankly, I like the sort of I mean, right now we're about 60 feet, but I like the sort of 60 to 200 foot range and just take the drainage out into the easy stuff.
The GoPro going?
Sweet. Yeah. Little red lights on.
Okay, so this morning, really nice use of the checklists. That will get more comfortable over time.
Sure.
And so where was your mistake this morning? It ended up being sort of a no big deal because you caught.
Oh, you know what? I didn't get the tie off before I turned the fan on.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so
I just caught it in time.
you caught it in time, right before that
Just
gust
barely,
came.
Right.
That's right. But you created a high pressure situation.
Right, where I should have had that tied off.
Would have been no big deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, as the fan guy, should I be checking out before I start the fan?
No.
Not necessarily. I mean, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, right. Multiple eyes, right. But I would not say that's the fan guy's job, no.
So, especially after sort of an entertaining launch like that, especially seeing Corey wander around and then swing and that kind of thing, it's important at this stage of the flight, sort of once your nerves have calmed down, to then take an opportunity to reassure the passengers that this is still a good day to fly.
Right.
As opposed to, holy shit, I can't believe we made it.
Sure.
You know? Now, having looked at weather, we think, at least I think, that breeze that came up is very short-lived.
Right.
And this is the fastest we're going to go today. And I believe if you went up another 200 feet, you turn left and stop, which is not really what we want to do.
Right.
But at this point, after a little bit of a sort of a not quite calm and perfect launch,
Right.
or inflation rather, the passengers can get nervous. Like, oh man, that was crazy.
Is landing going to be that crazy?
Exactly. So just taking 30 seconds to say, you know, hey, it's very typical for that breeze to come up at sunrise. That's why we tie off to the trip.
Right.
But boy, today is going to be great. We're going to have a gorgeous flight, and I anticipate a nice smooth landing. Just something as simple as that. So the all right. Well, then I guess I won't worry.
Do we need to call in the tower?
Sure.
I'm gonna burn real fast.
Springs Tower, hot air 74008.
Hot air 74008, Springs Tower, good morning.
74008, good morning. We're the second of 3 balloons out of the field to your west. Head south right now. Put a case on that.
No. I don't think I'm going to either. I never had until that one. And I only did that because I broke it, which... Don't ask me the logic on that.
Okay, so
Does
tell me.
drop faster. I feel it like...
Yeah, it gets ahead of you quicker.
Sure.
This is about the right weight for this balloon.
Right.
We could add another person and it would be fine. But this is about the ideal weight. So like when you and I are flying, especially in the winter, it's a little light and it floats a little more.
Right.
And you found that when we were landing, right? You caught the descent and it's like, well shit, why are we going up?
Right.
And this will be a much more balanced weight for us.
Sure.
Whereas with another passenger, we'd be fine, but you'd find it'd be sort of heavy all the time.
Right.
So I'm here as ballast.
That's right.
Basically.
So tell me a little bit about your fuel strategy.
Okay, well today, I'm working on the wrong tanks already. Yeah, so I was going to do the whole one thing one at a time. But I am actually on the wrong tanks currently.
Okay.
So I'm going to, here in a second, put us on the front tank.
Now, do you want to leave them both open, or do you want just the front? Okay. I'll feel that turn already.
Yeah. That's what I was looking for. Yep. That's the big white one.
Yeah, so, oh, you're looking for a turning deck?
Oh, yeah, there it is.
That's just one of them.
Yeah.
Always turn clockwise.
Exactly. And never the right amount.
Right, yeah.
Sometimes as a little bit of a strategy to remind myself where I am on fuel,
Yep.
I'll use one of these turned in and one of them turned out.
Makes sense.
So that way, this is a real easy posture, and I know that that's the one I'm on.
Right.
And you could still burn on this one if you wanted to, but you're not going to just mistakenly grab the wrong
Right.
one kinda, if you're
Right.
trying to use one side of it.
Sure. Okay. Makes sense.
So did I tell you when I took Sean's wife and daughters that
Oh, yeah.
they yeah, you know, son has a football game right now. I don't know where it is though.
Oh, yeah.
And we flew right over the game.
Nice.
That was really
Nice.
nice. But almost, you know, she says, yeah, it's somewhere right around here. I don't know where though.
That's funny.
And she sort of told me the address, and it was some weird road I didn't recognize. I don't know what that is. And so she pulled it up while we're flying, right? And she says, this says we're 0.2 miles. And it was these baseball fields right down here that
Nice.
they were playing in. And we had a pattern just like this, and so I got really low, and we went right over, right as they had the opening kickoff.
Nice.
You know?
Like a flyover.
Yeah, we planned it.
Right,
Uh-huh.
yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah, she was funny. She says, I get credit as a mom. I've still never missed a game.
Yeah.
Right there, arrow 1906 to it, number 1.short 35 what I would do is go to Spring Tower and do it fine. If I'm not there, take it 906 to it.
Oh, yo. So from a safety and ease point of view, I like the track that you have better than I like what Corey has got.
Right.
I like the fact that we're cruising down here into open space. We're off the tail of the runway, whereas right now he's sort of hovering over the airport, and we anticipate this south wind to go away.
Right.
So if he were to drop down, then he's got all of this airport to run out.
Right.
Here, we're not repeating takeoffs.
That's right. But he's not either. They'll go right under him. But if he were to say, okay, it's early, but let's say, oh man, I'm getting low. If he'd like to land, what he'd have to do is come down and then run out that 3/4 of a mile to get out of the opposite.
It did seem like the balloon, there's a nice layer of these. And when the fireball got higher, it slowed way down and it started.
Yeah, because I mean, he hadn't gone very far. So tell me a little bit about your flight plan.
Well, so far, I'm liking this direction.
What do you like about this direction?
Just what we were talking about, that it's going to clear the south end of the runway, that we're heading out into the open space area. I know that a little bit higher, that we do have some north if we need to.
We'll get you out here in about another minute. If you're a mixture at times,
That's where I'm at. What else should I be talking about?
Would you out of 9,000 to enter a range downwind run?
I think at this stage of your training, I think that's plenty. And really the idea is, have you thought about the flight plan early enough that when it really matters, you haven't screwed yourself?
Right.
So then, eventually, as you sort of mature in your planning, what you'll find is you can start to calculate, where will I be at 45 minutes? Where will I be at an hour? Where do I want to be? And start making decisions like, you know what, it doesn't matter right now, but I'm going to take all the right I can get because XYZ, that
Right.
kind of a thing.
Makes sense.
Because we'll practice tight landings. You know, for example, a relatively tight landing on today would be like in this little park.
Sure.
It would be fine. There's plenty of space to do that. But think about our trajectory. Man, there's a truck, there's a fence,
Right.
there's a building. There's, and we know that if we were to land out here in the ops area, it's fine. It's
Right.
just inconvenient.
Right.
But, so we'll practice tight landings and you will get good at them. The challenge is, in my opinion, flight planning is the key to avoiding situations where landings are difficult. Sometimes you can't. But I would argue most of the time you can. Most of the time, if you've chosen to fly, you can plan your flight such that you can have a relatively easy landing and an easy recovery.
So I was planning on landing at Amazon. Just kidding. I love it.
I don't think you can get enough right.
Okay, everybody face to the left and blow real
That's
hard.
right.
Yeah, apparently.
But I do anticipate once you get to Milton Proby, you'll get a right turn.
Okay.
Not very much, 5-10 degrees maybe.
Is that because the ground dishes down a little bit? So the
Yeah.
plane turns that way?
So what happens is if we stay real low, once we effectively the lake is sucking air into that hole. And so once we get there, we'll start to experience the influence of that and we'll start to turn towards the lake. Just barely start to feel it right now.
Out on the left side of my face. Yeah.
Usually you go with the wind. It's any different.
Every time you feel a breeze indicates that we're going to change velocity in some way. And so we're feeling it on the back of our neck. So we're going this way, so the wind is going this way. So we're going to experience that turn. Except that it just went up about another 10 to 15 feet, and we're actually going to get out of that layer. That right turn layer is really thin on the road. Notice how you've gotten about maybe a 5-degree correction there. We're almost headed towards the water tower down there.
I heard boom.
Huge. That's going to make sure you saw
I need to add water to my checklist for the basket.
That's what this is for. Yeah, I've gotten to the point where, especially if Lake Jessica or Aaron is not crewing for me, that what I'll do is I'll get a couple of waters out of the cooler and I'll set them on the hood of the truck. And that way, it's real easy to, oh hey, can you hand me those?
Right.
Instead of, can you go fish around in the cooler and find me something?
Right, that makes sense.
Because I have also put them in before I inflate, and since this is the top side,
Yeah.
then they fall out and are on the
over.
bottom of the basket. You know.
And then you're trying to stand it up.
Exactly. Now you've ridden in the ride balloons before, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this the first time you've ridden in a small one?
No, I've when I was crewing Minnesota, I rode in a small one, and a couple of times later they lift off, and then it was pretty fun.
Nice.
Probably been about a year since I rode it.
Really? That's great. One of the reasons I bring it up is because these baskets are significantly lower than the ride vest. And that's exactly the temptation, because if you're a passenger and you're doing this, it's very difficult to prevent tipping forward. So I really like the arm around, you know, that kind of thing.
Just trying to stay out of Scott's way.
They'll push you out.
Yeah, just got hit me over the head.
Yellow balloon, that's us.
Wandering off the northeast corner of the airport. Did the third balloon not launch?
I haven't seen him in the air.
Bad sign when the two new guys get out in the air and the ride guy's still there.
Right.
But he did say he was just getting that out of annual, so maybe there was a problem with it.
Right.
Flight I took my buddy's airplane the last time that afternoon. He had just gotten it out of inspection and he had upgraded the software on his glass cockpit.
Okay.
So I had to hand fly it while he was reconfiguring everything. At one point he reset the whole thing, it dropped out of autopilot and everything. How about a little crew coordination?
Yeah, right. Well, let me know.
I was just lightly holding the stick on autopilot and turned out. All of a sudden it pushed.
Hopefully we're not close to the ground.
Nah.
Those are just street lights, correct? That's correct. These are just street lights. And in fact, there are no power lines in this area at all. I don't know if that's just because the city of Colorado Springs buries most of their wires, or if it's an airport thing. In theory, this street isn't anywhere near the glide path, but boy, you'd hate to see an airplane
speaking
just
of-
snag a wire.
Where's the camera?
Hey, GoPro.
I don't know if we got that or not.
I guess if the plane was struggling and it was stuck kind of in the ground effect.
You could. It would take a fair bit of poor planning to get down into this area, but you never know. I mean, because the runway's still a quarter of a mile down there, right?
Yeah. If you're that low, that far off the runway.
But you might be having problems, like you say. Maybe you're on a dead stick. Maybe you're on fuel. You never know. Seen it on video. A small airplane, and they were coming in real low, and caught a wheel on the wire. It just pitched them right down, and yanked out 3 or 4 columns.
Maybe.
Make sure you're facing forward. Be able to perceive the altitude of that plane. Okay, so notice just right down in this layer, we're getting a little bit of movement. Looks like they're putting light bulbs in that street there. It looked like that.
I wonder if those are permanent or temporary. They look temporary at the moment, but that doesn't mean anything.
See Terry played it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Must have had an issue.
So today we're flying about 220 degrees, which in my opinion is kind of the sweet spot for a balloon.
Okay.
And so what are you noticing in terms of different performance?
Well, I mean, I feel like the balloon gets heavier faster,
Okay.
but I think we were talking about that with the weight addition. I feel like once it does start getting heavy, it starts dropping faster. That's not really what you were asking me, but that's,
No, that's
something
exactly what
I'm noticing.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm needing to add heat to it more often to maintain anywhere close to level,
Right.
which I'm still working on.
You'll find that there are some balloon incidents that occur because people are too close or exceeding the performance limitations of the aircraft. You know, they're thinking, well, I'll just take that one more passenger, I'll fly heavy, or I fly the normal number of passengers, but today's hot or humid or, you know, whatever the case might be. And that's one of the reasons why we keep such a close eye on the temperature, because like I say, I think 220 is about the sweet spot. The balloon is full, it's heavy, it'll perform nicely. But also got a 30-degree margin before you're getting to sort of the maximum lift.
Right.
And so when it does get heavy, you don't have to worry about over temping it. You can just burn as much as you want and you can recover. Because the performance curve degrades at higher temperatures.
Makes sense.
And so, you know, you get to a point where you're flying at 250 and then you burn, you won't feel the responsiveness. It'll be a lot slower, a lot softer.
See, those look like they have generators at the base of those.
Solar powered maybe?
Yeah, is that maybe a solar panel and a battery or something? I don't know.
Could be.
I bet we're going to get close to it.
Right.
Pave the road.
Yeah, during Labor Day liftoff, we covered it.
Oh yeah. Or buried it.
You might be right. Well, that looks like it's sort of a standalone. It does sort of look temporary, right? They got the feet on it. Yeah, is it a generator? I don't see a solar panel. They're going to have just regular employees here now, no longer construction workers.
Right. Maybe we'll have better luck. Terry is done with him. He canceled his Prime membership. He's not ordering from Amazon anymore.
Just because of this
Because of this,
relationship?
Oh, he's standing up now.
Yep. Apparently he was just flying over and they were yelling at him. And he was like, you know.
Yeah, I don't know, remember if you were with me or not, but I landed just on the north side of this road out here. And the guy came up and talked to me.
Right.
And he clearly knew that he didn't have jurisdiction.
Right.
But he really wished he did. You know? Yeah, I would sort of think of their private property being the water well that they've dug there.
Sure.
I don't know, but I'm guessing that's a city road. All the way up until the stop sign.
Right. Well, and it's, you know. Did they just dig that? I was going to say. Because that road wasn't even there before.
Correct. The paved one?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's been there for years. It was dirt. But
Oh, okay.
No,
So
no, it's been
it's
there.
listed as our green landing, though,
Yep.
right?
Because it used to be the city owned all of this.
Right.
I think they still do. And the city basically said they wanted to preserve this area as open space, tundra for wildlife.
Right.
And so they said they didn't want us out here, and specifically they didn't want us driving out here.
Right.
But the roads were fine. The road's been there for as long as I've lived here.
Okay, so I did not think we'd get this far right. I kind of want to pop up and see if we can get some left a little higher.
Okay.
So let's go up there and see what we got. I feel like this line is okay, but left is better.
And why is left better?
Well, it's just more open to the left. That's Big Johnson.
Yes.
True, I say. I get it.
It's a big advantage. Thinking in terms of what is the crew experience going to be, you know? And you can't always make it good, right? There will be times in your flying career that you will pack a balloon out.
Right.
Please not the little lot by the church down here that's full of cactus.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing that I would ask is that you never have to pack a balloon out because you didn't care. You never get to that point of, oh, screw the crew, they'll do it.
Right.
No, that's not right.
Right.
But to say, oh man, I thought we had access, or I was aiming for this field, I just couldn't get it good. Sorry, guys. All right, that happens. No
Right.
big deal. That's what beer's for. I think you got your left turn. What do you think?
I do.
And also, that left turn that you picked up is also helping you to be a little bit of a better neighbor. Instead of just, you know, buzzing these houses.
Yeah, I'm good.
Or you sort of off the north.
It looks like we picked up a little speed.
So, noticing the left turn that you got, tell
Yeah.
me a little bit more about what comes next.
Next. Well, I'm good to Mark Shuffle as far as how far I want to ride this. You know, if I can, potentially we'll ride it over a little bit, maybe drop back down, and then kind of follow the Big Johnson
Okay.
and see if we can't kind of get toward the south end of there.
Okay. So a couple of, I think you're right to ease down and this drainage where you
Yep.
see the water drainage
Yep,
here,
yep.
that will be the guide for the wind. So it'll actually pull you right into the lake. So even though we were going that direction on the ground, now we're going to go that direction.
Right.
I anticipate.
Sure.
It's pretty calm, so it won't be dramatic. And we've proven that that left is there. And Corey has proven that it's been there pretty reliably.
Right.
So, from a planning perspective, I would shoot to the right side of the lake because you know that you could hop up
If
and
we
get a
need
quick
to.
left-hand
Right.
correction. Whereas if you were trying to land like on the circumference road kind of a thing,
Right.
and you were too far left, you can't recover. We're feeling that wind in our face, so we should start to feel the turn just another few feet. And we know that this field that we're over now is accessible for the crew. They would come off of that corner.
Yep.
And we're about to cross a fence soon, and then we're in the plague field,
Right.
but we also know that's accessible. Yeah, and in this field right here, the access is from the corner of the houses. And you could either be on this road that runs along the fence to the houses, or there's a gate up there where the road splits, basically right at the top of the hill where it kind of curves down. There's a gate that will get you into this area that we're in. Because it is locked, except the hinge side is not, and so you can just pick them up.
Thanks, sir. I feel like the wind blew on that pilot light there for a second.
We're almost out. We're out of fuel.
That's right. Exactly.
Out of the zone over there.
I was. So even subtle phrases like, oh, that's about empty, that's nervousing.
Sure.
But to say, oh, it's almost time to change.
Almost time to change. Better. Better.
All of a sudden, I threw my hands up and I screamed, "Oh my God, we're all gonna die!"
Oh, because that's what dads are prone to do.
Responsible for some of the trip.
I see bikes on it, like mountain bikes.
Right.
Okay, you smell that? What just changed?
Our wind direction?
That you can start to smell moisture.
Oh.
So you can smell the moisture, you can start to smell the weeds, and that tells us that we're in the bowl of the cooler weather.
Makes sense.
And what that tells you then is that as we come down, the lower we get, we're actually going to get really calm. Really calm. And so I've come over this hill at 15 miles an hour.
Right.
And as soon as you can smell the moisture, it just stops.
Right. I've seen you guys tracing wise. I've seen you guys do that, be flying and then just nothing from
Look
here.
at that.
And that's one of the reasons why when it's even breezy at the launch field, it really doesn't concern me in a pattern like this, because
Right.
I know that I can run down here and I can run further, find a calm landing.
Right.
Now, it gets breezy again when you get up to that ridge at Fontaine.
Sure.
And then you sort of carry some breeze for that next neighborhood, which is what, a mile maybe long. And then once you get into that wide, where Mark Scheffel turns into CNS and Link, that's where it starts to go calm again.
Okay.
And so things like cruising over this hill fast will
Right.
probably calm down in the lake. And then you can pop up and cruise again, and then once you get down to that lake area, then it calms down typically. We're not going anywhere fast now, are we?
No.
So how do you learn these tips and tricks when you're in an unfamiliar spot? Talk to the local pilots that are out there.
Absolutely. And especially handy is to find somebody a local person to cruise with. Because they can tell you things like, this is a good spot to land, this is bad, I have access, I don't, that kind of thing. And then, but the geography that creates the weather is pretty predictable. So if you understand that, oh, we're in a bowl, especially if that had water in it, it would be obvious. And then it'd be like, oh, okay, I'm going to get right down into that water because I know it's going to calm down. And it's funny because that micrometeorology, or the other term for it is orographic weather, is pretty predictable. But you won't find much of it in sort of the weather techniques. Pretty distinct sound, huh? There is a book that I have, that I think I still own. It's published in the early 70s, and maybe there's a newer version of it, I don't know. It's called Fire Weather, and it is amazing. And it talks about how fires create their own weather, and it talks about how a slope or a hill or sunset will create weather, and because they care. But you know, there aren't very many industries that really care about that precise of local weather.
2 knots this way or that way.
Right.
Or when we're in my buddy's airplane, we're going 140 knots.
And so think about if you're a fireman and this field was on fire, where do you cut it? You have to know where is that wind going to turn, or where can I get moisture, and where is it going to cool off. And it's really good.
Practice a landing since we're just hanging out here.
What do you think about that?
It's okay. I think that I got a little bit ahead of myself on the burning and was letting out on my vent too quickly, and that gave us that extra little hop.
That's right. I mean, obviously it was subtle.
Right.
Yep.
And we're off again. Get some more of that left again.
He's up fairly high, but he seems to be motoring right down here to us.
So I'm going to get a little bit of altitude, see if we can't cut some of that left back that way.
Okay.
Or, not left anymore, is it?
Isn't it amazing how much just the ground pattern can affect the road?
Yeah, I can't honestly say I've really ever paid as close of attention to it as now that we're going through this.
Of course not. Why would you?
Right. Well, like even in like when I do the RC stuff, I'm not going across. You know, I'm
Right. You're
singular
in one
location. You know, so I know what the winds are in this particular spot, but like as it changes across the terrain, I've never paid attention.
Is he actually cutting that trail? I think he's actually cutting that trail,
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
like making the bike.
Right.
That's neat.
Yeah.
That is cool.
And he's got a little red backhoe up
Yeah.
there to through some of the ditches.
Yeah. Because I started seeing all these piles, and I'm like, what is going on there? That's not a natural trail.
Right.
These bike trails didn't just happen.
Just aren't enough cows out here to start cutting trails,
I
right?
guess not.
And we've got our dirt village here. I don't know what's going on out there. Temperature changes.
The wind is also one of the fresh fields where the cattle are grazing. You smell cattle.
Okay, I would recommend we let it drop down about 50 feet. Because if you notice, there was a thin layer there that was going south.
Right.
And now we're up in this layer that's actually starting to turn us around. Okay. I mean, we're going almost due east right now, but just barely. Right. And that tells me we've reached the morning temperature that the whole thing is about to shift.
Okay.
Do you know if our crew has access to any of this, or is it still locked up?
Well, in the past, I have been able to get in there, but there is a gate that can be locked. So.
get into the school area. Some folks didn't make friends at the school area during Labor Day. I think that partially they just landed there and surprised the guy, and so but that was fine. I talked to him after. But someone landed in their soccer field, which of course makes them uncomfortable, right? Because then you're tearing up grass potentially. And then they went one step further and they left a couple of big rocks. And I thought, well, that's weird. Did that just come out of the trailer or something? And apparently, and he says, oh no, it was intentional. I'm like, how do you know that? Because he sent me a picture. He flipped them over and they're painted rocks. And they have the balloon on them.
no.
And he says, I think that's kind of cool, but don't leave it in the grass where I have to run a mower.
Right.
Yeah, you know, so
Interesting.
it's like if they had laid it on the edge, that would have been really cool to find.
Right.
But so I've got to do a little bit of landowner relations over there. But he did go out of his way to say, oh yeah, and the local guys land here all the time and they're all really good. So I'm okay with you guys landing.
That's cool.
I just think it'd be nice to sort of butter them up a little. Because if this path was a hold, getting into that perimeter road works really well. My understanding was that the dam something was wrong with the gates of the dam, and I don't know whether they were, wouldn't open or wouldn't close, or I don't know the details. But I think that then they traced that down to too much silt, and so that's what I think this dirt farm is I think they're trying to get rid of some of the loose dirt. In the meantime, they have also fixed the dam, and so the hope is that they'll refill it soon, but I can't imagine they're going to refill it with all of this dirt still in there, so I don't know what the plan is.
All that was exactly. Whatever gets water in it,
Yeah, I'm excited.
And we'll get more wildlife back.
You heard from our buddies over the radio?
I haven't. You want to call them?
Yeah, let's see what they're up to.
Well, Sunrise Chase. We're currently looking at the south end of the lake.
We are at the south end of the lake.
Imagine that. That's perfect. We're going to keep sort of
Copy that. Should I go ahead and start getting the gate ready to open?
What do you think? I feel like as long as we sort of keep doing this up and down drill, every time you go up, you get a little bit more south and left. So.
Right. I'm good with them.
Yeah, Travis, go ahead and open that gate. We're going to see if we can get all the way to the south end.
Copy that.
We're just coming up on an hour. So.
It sounded like a field of
pretty thin transition, isn't it? And the temperature's significantly cooler.
Yes.
And you'll notice that effect is more dramatic when there's water in it. Especially because the water maintains that cooler temperature.
Sure. That I'm used to. When I'm backpacking and stuff like that, I, intentionally don't park it right next to a big body of water because it's going to be cold.
And so for us, from a flying perspective, we want water to get in here because it's more scenic. We can do splash dashes. There's more wildlife. But what happens is that water becomes a stabilizer. And so this pattern that we're having today would last longer into the day.
Makes sense.
Because right here, this ground is going to warm up with the sun on it.
Right.
And
That makes
this
sense.
flow into the hole will diminish. But when there's water, it stays there for a few hours.
Pop up just a little bit, see if we can't get some speed, some direction. Sure. Right here, there's not really access.
Yeah, right here, access is pretty poor.
Right.
Now, clearly, there is, at least mechanically, there is access into this construction area if we had to, but we made it have locked gates.
I know that if we do get up and east, there's space between the fence and the road, so even if we were just to go straight east, we'd still be okay.
Yep. And that ring road comes all the way
Right.
down around. So we're on the wrong side of the fence here. And in fact, if you cross into this area, it doesn't help you because there's another fence. So really what you've got to do if you want to be, if we end up going north, is you want to get into that square over there. And then that road goes all the way around.
I believe so.
We
I'm not
are
100% positive, but...
we are putting together a little mini fiesta for Don Doherty.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Since he couldn't go to Fiesta,
Sure.
we're thinking that we'll fly out of his field on December 22nd,
Okay.
whatever that weekend is.
Okay.
I'll be around.
Yeah, that'd be great. And we figured we'd sort of look at the weather and see, is it a nice tailgating day, or do we go fly and then meet at a house or something like that, you know?
Trying to find some of that east.
Terry sort of showed us it's up ahead thing, right?
Right.
So now you've got some tracking south, a little bit, and to the east. This is perfect. And by the way, the right side of this paved road is pretty difficult to get access to. So in an ideal world, you want to be left of the paved road and then beyond the fence that you
Right.
can see is about 100 yards in off the water's edge.
Go in there. Yeah, I put one of those crescent wrenches in the truck, in the trailer
Oh, okay, for the gates.
for the gates.
Nice.
Stop the burglary calls. Field access codes.
All right.
When we flew down in Canyon City, we had to give them inventory of everything in the trailer,
Oh yeah.
including screwdriver, crescent wrench.
Right.
leather. And if you landed on prison property, they would search you,
And then
search
make
the
sure that
trailer, make sure
everything
you got
came
everything
out.
out.
Right.
They also made it easier for us in that if you had a toolbox of any kind, which like I've got that little plastic box that has my nitrogen and
Oh, yeah.
tools in it and everything,
Could tape it or
they would
something.
basically just tape it with their police tape.
Right.
And so then,
As long as it wasn't open.
as long as it wasn't open, you didn't have to search through every nook and cranny. You know?
Makes sense.
I flew over the prison land. Obviously, you just about can't avoid it down there, but never landed on it, luckily. I wasn't paying a lot of attention to it on the hot inflation, but how well did that top stay in during the sort of rock and roll?
Just fine.
Seemed fine.
Yeah.
Good.
Still want to replace the Velcro, but
Sure, it's if nothing else, it's comforting, but the top has that sort of sealing. It has a little flap of fabric that really seals it quite
It
nicely.
does.
It's a good design. Corey's still flying. I didn't realize that. He's down in that.
Oh yeah, we got quite a bit further south here.
Yeah.
We're coming,
Travis, it's Dave. I think that our south is dying. You might want to come around to the northeast side of the lake. Right now, we've got a pretty good shot of getting that for you.
When we land, I don't jump out and start crewing, right? I wait for pilot directions.
Correct. Stay in the basket. That's something I didn't mention. Stay in the basket until I ask you to get out of the basket. Good call.
No, I'll get the crown up.
Right, exactly. Hang
There
on
we go.
tight.
Hang on tight. Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Well, if you hang on real tight, you can come swinging back into the basket.
Problem solved.
It'd be an adventure. So you see this post down here?
Yep.
That's an eagle's nest.
Right.
But there's no power lines or anything like that. But that's a real good indicator of where the fence is, and you can see the fence.
Oh,
reflected
okay.
in the
Yeah.
sun.
So I got to get all the way to there.
Not
Edge here.
So yeah, the water's edge is 1 milestone, and then the fence, and then the road.
Gotcha.
And even when you can't see the fence very well, you can see that post for sure. with snow on the ground, the wind is really stable because you don't get that differential heating at all. I remember once I was flying with Maya out here and the lake was frozen, but it was newly frozen, so it was like perfectly clean black ice. And we came in and she ground tracked and we just touched the ice and you could see it just splinter out, you know, because it was really thin. It was really good. So now's the time you want to start briefing your passengers on sort of what's the intent, what's the plan. You might change the plan 7 times between now and then,
Right.
but you want to start setting the expectation that now's the time to pay attention.
Okay.
You probably don't want to let
That's right. Especially because, as you know, from a pilot in the plane, you on this approach, you basically you've got nose up, and the glass is way above the nose, and so you can't look down in front of you.
Okay, Phil, my plan is to get outside of this lake here. We've got a fence line over here. We're going to try and make it to the other side of that fence line there and put down somewhere close to that road. So as we get close to that, we'll have you get ready to... Yep. As long as you have an arm wrapped around something, I'd like you to keep like you're doing.
What do you think the ground wind is doing?
It's going around in circles.
Okay. How would you check that?
Well, I just put over the side, and it looked to me like it was keeping with us.
Okay.
So
Kind of
straight.
this direction.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
So I'm going to go with that and try and keep the scoop facing downwind as we're doing here. And we've got enough south that I'm just going to keep riding it.
Okay. So if I heard you right, you're going to ease down with the anticipation that this wind is going to hold us until we cross the fence.
Correct.
Even on the hill. Okay.
That's my anticipation.
At this stage of the game, I wouldn't worry too much about the rotation.
Yep.
Primarily because it can be a distraction trying
Sure.
to do too much too
Yep,
little.
yep.
You're better off just sort of keeping eyes forward, even if that means you end up
Turning
turning
around,
around, you know, your body and that kind of thing.
And there's our east again.
Yeah, this is great. Okay, so now is where we get into that favorite landing position. You're already mostly there, right? You got your arm around the bolster, your feet are on the floor, and you're going to want to, at this stage, have a red line in your hand. And that way, as you come in for a landing, you're not fishing for the red line. Because I've seen
Total sense.
a lot of times people, you know, and that's where, if it's a normal landing, no big deal, but they'll catch a fence or hit a bush and they're, oh shit, now I can't get to the red line, I don't know where it is. Turn around. Over time that this position becomes comfortable, sort of like driving with a seatbelt. That at some point when you're not in the right position, it just feels uncomfortable. Time when having plenty of fuel is very reassuring.
Yes.
So yeah, takes another 20 minutes to get to the fence. That's okay. And worst case scenario, if you felt like you were low, then land.
Right, and we walk it
Yeah,
out.
and we could just walk it over.
Right.
It's so calm, right? Like if for some reason we felt like the wind was shifting and going back out to the lake, I'd
Right,
just
just
land.
land it, right. Go back up a little bit, see if we can't get a little bit of a push.
lift off the ground, I think we'll just gently drift over the fence.
Okay.
Very much surface winds, huh?
Not
No.
much. We're thinking we could just sort of walk that way and hop over the fence.
Okay.
No, I was going up and down on a pole right there. I was like,
Right.
where's it at? Where's it at? Up and down, nothing.
Now, when you have your crew walk you, the principle is you want to do all the lifting
Right.
so that they're not lifting you and you're
Right.
not ready or whatever. And they'll do the guiding.
Right. I mean,
Once we come
I
off
can
the ground,
see the
we'll go by
heat
the
too
road.
going straight sideways.
Commenting on your antelope-like fence hop.
Yeah. I got pretty close, I think.
Were you? You get the outlets, nope.
Let me go over, guys.
How was your elevator trip, sir?
All right.
Want to just lay it down.
Or I think so, yeah.
I know, right?
I mean, it looks pretty clean out there, doesn't it?
Does.
Right.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, hold on.
I'd like to actually do something experimental real quick.
Okay.
What I'd like to do is have Phil jump out
Okay.
quickly as though he hadn't listened to the instruction.
Uh-huh.
And I'd like you to just experience what that feels
What
like.
that jolt is.
Don't get yet. And then we'll come right back.
Sure.
All right, we were pretty cold. That's not a big deal,
Right.
but we're light, right?
Right.
Okay, what happens?
Sure.
If your hand hadn't been on that vent, that could be panic inducing.
Right.
If your hand's on the vent, you see how.
All right, we'll just scoot right over here to the road too.
That's great.
All right.
Okay, now you want to shut your pilot light off first. Okay, and then shut your fuel off. You want the pilot light off because if you don't have time to shut the fuel off, you don't have fire that's
Right.
going to catch the weeds on
Right.
fire, that kind of thing. And then, now your pilot's been out long enough, it's probably really out. So now you can dump all that fuel and cool the burner a little bit. And now you're good to go.
Okay, you ready, Travis? All right. It's all yours.
Go slow, Scott. Set that basket over for him, Kevin. That'll allow the cables to see how the fabric is kind of bundled up there. You want to stretch all those cables out so that it's nice and clean to pack out. Nicely done.
Sure.
How'd it feel?
Felt like, I mean, it's amazing. I don't know what else to say about it.
Sort of feels like flying a balloon, doesn't
Sort of feels like flying a balloon.
it?
You want me to pull the top?
No. He.
Oh, yeah.
Pull it up. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's plenty of it.
This is the rope that never.
Right.
You gonna milk it or? Well, milk it or just ground milk it? Probably just ground milk it.
Do you want to do it the hard way or the easy way? That's the question. Oh, come here. Pick up a little bit.
Yeah. You're gonna get them out of the envelope bag? Grab the whole envelope bag.
Yeah, I was
Or just pull the truck up.
hung out right there over the
Dave got it.
right there over the edge, and I mean I was going up and down 100 foot or two. I heard you say elevator ride. Because
Yeah.
there was no. I just couldn't get any more over here. Typically what I'll do is just take this one and snap it to the bottom one. And then I'll leave that until we get it a little further out.
What you could do is snap it to this, snap the bottom one to this, right here.
Right.
So that way you have your top, and if you keep it the same direction,
Right.
when you bring it
And you
off
know
and
which
hook it
one's-
straight to that,
which
because
one's the
then it
bottom,
should
which
be
one's the top,
straight to
right.
the bottom, straight to the top, and you're both facing your short side.
Elevator.
I know. I was playing elevator. I was trying to find some winds to get out of the lake there, but had to go with some of that human horsepower.
I haven't had your card yet.
I don't think Miss Erin has any cards for this one.
Not yet.
How far do I start?
You can start. Put one right here.
My rule of thumb is right at the top of the moment, because that allows you plenty of flexibility to see what the cables are doing, but then the throat is nice and closed and it doesn't get all, your cables don't get all pulled up to the top and that thing.
Jeez, I've seen those before.
And then we have enough of these that's roughly about every 5 feet.
Oh, where you got those from?
Yeah, I had, well, it's funny because when Erin got this balloon, she's like, oh man, I wish we had saved some of those orange straps. So then she just asked 3 or 4 pilots that she knew already used straps. Hey, are you using those? And they gave them to her.
Oh, there you go.
So I think she's got a dozen of them or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's not bad. That
Okay,
is not bad at all.
so now you have a kid in your basket. Is your fuel shut down?
It is.
Okay. Then you don't have anything to worry about, right?
Unless he starts messing with things.
Right. And so generally what I find is kids will stand right in here or they'll sit down right there.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Right.
Just keep an eye on them. And you know that your pilot is off.
Right.
So even if they turned on a fuel hose,
Right. Still okay.
still not that big a deal.
Right. You're fine.
And from a safety perspective and from a relational perspective, what I find is if you're uncomfortable with kids, absolutely the worst thing to do is sort of yell at them, get out of the basket.
Right.
But I see that all the time.
Sure.
Rather, just come over and, hey man, pretty cool in there, isn't it? Let me show you what this stuff does.
Right.
And see, you're messing with that handle. Go ahead and turn it this way, and that shuts the fuel off. And then you just teach them. Because, I mean, the only reason why kids are wandering in is because they're curious.
Right.
So,
Sure.
let them be curious. Unfortunately, in society, we spend a huge amount of time pounding curiosity out of children.
I agree with you.
And it's just horrible. That's why, I mean, I'm always like, yeah, come, come, look, touch, taste, whatever. Because a kid is not going to do any damage to the balloon, just about regardless of what they do.
Right. Okay.
Sometimes I have to pound my back on me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to pound it so I wouldn't get them. Someone was riding and I was
that those straps are perfectly spaced.
Well,
OCD, dude. I gotta make sure
I'm
that
getting
it's
there.
wrong.
I'm learning from the best, that's for sure.
Run, Lee, run.
Whoever has those straps, you guys have some extra Labor Day look at it.
Thank you.
Must know some people down there or something.
She had some good friends that were willing to donate
It's
those.
like skipping, but in a really
Well, it's funny
dangerous
because we
way.
went down to Albuquerque
If you know
shortly
some
after we got this,
kids
and my
are
dad had,
curious, they'll
we gave
bounce
5
the
away to every
basket.
pilot.
Oh, okay.
And so my dad's are sitting on the
So
shelf
nice.
because he already had straps, right? And he's like,
I'm
yeah, they're
curious.
great,
Can I
but
get it?
I don't have them. So I was like, hey, could I have those? And, you know, so then she called, I think it was Chris and Clayton, and said, hey, if you're not using those, I'd love to have them. So,
Yeah,
and of course, they're a perfect match.
they are. Yeah.
And we made them at the event. We made them orange because they're really easy to see if you leave them on the ground. You know, so if you leave one under the balloon or whatever and you inflate, you know, the crew will naturally see it. It's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
as opposed to, I've seen some that are sort of black or brown.
Dark blue.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Everybody wants them to match their balloon too.
Jack,
But
no, I can't do that.
the orange, you're right. There's no sense.
Under the hand.
Mine would be mostly black.
It's like
Yeah, and I'm not sure I actually do want them to match the balloon
Right.
because that makes it a little bit tougher to see, especially if you're doing a glow, take them off. And then it's like, why is my balloon inflated? You know?
I'm going halfway. Well, does it? Take off
twice
landing.
the times and that counts.
Two landings.
Tag,
Travis, did you ever
it's not there. And I don't want to
Lands
play.
up in there. That area somewhere.
Yeah, really, really nice. Both of them.
He's got a cart on a 90.
Yeah, and it's just usually just him and Jessica. And it's just like, you know,
Very, very nice.
when you have the trailer, it's like, why not?
Right. That whole work smarter, not harder thing.
Right. I started shopping at
When will we put the basket up?
In a few minutes.
Now when you're ready to make the cart.
Right after these are tied off?
Yeah, I thought I might ask Daniel, hey, you know, send me a bunch of pictures of your cart. What do you like? What do you not like? What do you wish you'd done different?
Hold on, Bubba.
I know
You
one
gotta
thing
unscrew it.
they wish they'd done
Hey,
differently.
come here, come here, come here. Look.
The handle. So when you get the basket on there, you push it up. It drops forward. That's how Jessica busted up her knuckles real bad.
I was talking about the envelope cart.
Oh, the envelope part. Yeah, they have a cart for the envelope and the basket.
Okay, somebody with stronger fingers is gonna have to come here.
Now, Ken Catalini had
Someone
a
with stronger fingers.
His envelope cart is, you know, think of it
Scott.
as a platform with the rails
Scott.
and all that
Okay.
standard cart, except his, everything
But
disconnects. from the
Scott's
platform.
not here.
Basically what happens is the
Scott.
vertical tubing
He's coming.
goes down through the floor and
This
goes
one
down.
is.
Hold on.
That's
And I'm like,
Mom.
that seems like an over-design. Why do you need that?
That's from here to
Yeah.
right there.
If I'm in a field and I have to pack out, pull the pin,
Scott,
I
this
have a
one's
flat cart.
really tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was his envelope.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to.
And then go back and, you know, put
It
the
got
pins back up,
yanked
put
down.
the envelope back in, and then pack up the envelope. And so he says that's how I can avoid having two carts.
You got a pair
Every
of
now and then if you want wheels on the back.
pliers.
It's super easy. And like, Ken, you know, after you
Yeah,
do
they
this
shouldn't
for
get a
30
little snug.
years,
That's the problem.
You know what I would do? And of course, Ken is a rover. I don't know if you know much about Ken's history, but he used to be a race car driver. And more importantly for us,
Okay.
a race car builder. And so he can build anything.
So that's where his knowledge was building all these things.
Okay, so I want you two to crawl in the bottom of the basket.
Okay.
Crawl in the bottom of the basket.
And building a car, that kind of stuff is a
I'm
no-brainer.
scared.
Crawl in there, both of you.
I remember one
Crawl in
time
there.
my trailer.
I don't know. They're gonna do something.
What do you think we're gonna do?
Push me.
Push you?
Yeah.
Why would we push you?
Push us that way.
Oh.
I was right.
We had ripped the
I'm
fender
stuck.
off. I don't care.
Help me up.
I go back up there, and he straightened the fender, put it back on, and
help me up?
folded it back. It's like, and he's like, oh, and I saw a crack in your spare tire rack.
Yeah,
I love that
thank
too.
you. Okay, how are we gonna get out?
Your thoughts on tandem or single axle?
Easy.
Oh boy, I'm torn. I'm really torn.
Make sure the basket
Tandem
doesn't
axle,
fall.
well,
Okay, there is no way out.
That's right, and it's
Hold
more
on, let me
swivel.
try. Let me try.
They track more in line.
Her
And they
stand
don't
right
put-
over there, so it's just
In the
in
bumps,
case
they
the
don't put
basket
the weight on the tongue so much because the trailer will sit more flat. So all those are good things.
Yeah, I can't.
The two downsides of Tandem Axle is it's heavier
You can do it.
and they're harder to back up.
Promise
Especially if you're trying to crank it, the little wheels start to slide.
You did it!
Hold on, let's bounce it more.
If I can do it, you can do it. Mom, I got out!
There we go.
Okay, now we can sit for a
Dad, I got out!
Come on, Alex, hurry up.
Yay!
My favorite part of the thing.
Come on, Alex, hurry up, Bubba. Go around front. Go around front. There you go. There you go.
Okay, everybody say cheesy pilots.
Cheesy pilots.
All right.
Love it.
Pilots should be Mexican.
I got out of the
There you
basket!
go. Especially if they're not
Can I
used
get
to
back
it.
in the
Bounce
basket?
this one more time.
That was fun.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Nice. Now it's gonna sit.
Come on. Let's get back in the basket.
No.
I don't want
Basket gets to be disassembled. We'll
Yep.
learn how it goes apart.
Dad, that stays on.
Yep.
Honestly, I don't even know how at this point I got out.
All right.
Out. It does this. Open this part. Pull it down. Pull it. No, pull it down. There you go.
I want to try.
Come over here. So, drape it right here. Drape it over the edge right here. Don't let it hit the ground.
In my leg. Start zipping
Do it.
or unzipping.
Okay, now hold on. When you get that hard, so slide this back over here and pull it down.
Oh yeah. Work smarter,
Then-
not harder.
Alex, you did one. She did one. That's how you put them on too. You start at eye level and shimmy them up.
Work your way up.
Works
Okay.
so much easier.
How are we going to get the burners?
No, we have
Well,
two
we have
vehicles
to
up
take
here.
the carabiners off first.
The carabiner?
Yep, that's what these are called. They're carabiners. These ones are specifically made for the balloon.
I'm not playing that game anymore. I'm stuck. What, play balloon? That's my favorite game.
My child play balloons? No. He has his own flute. I mean, come on.
I just play balloons.
He's doing very well. I am. I have a really good time.
You have a bag for Andy.
I'll just get shoved in the side here in a minute.
Okay.
Come down here.
Yeah. How would you finish eating that? Okay.
Which really naturally looks like it goes that way.
Shut this off already, or nope?
You'll find. Oh,
This is the bottom of